Welcome back to yet another episode of how we bought our house in Portugal and everything that came with it. If you are new here, I am Luiza and I'm talking about everything Portugal and especially Algarve because this is the area where we ended up buying a house. So we stopped the story and now the story continues. So we had 3 apartments in Lobo available on the market at that time, and we saw all 3 apartments and we had to decide between those 3 apartments. So each of the 3 apartments had his own realtor, and this is where the story of how the realtors can fuck up your purchase. There are 3 apartments on the market, 2 at identical prices and 1 much higher in price, but this apartment is fully renovated, has central heating, has everything you can possibly want in a renovation. The other 2 had to be completely renovated. For the expensive one, we didn't have the money. Even if you put the loan on top of and our personal money on top of everything, we just didn't quite had the sum. We could make an extraordinary effort and get the money, and we were considering this. We didn't want at that point to have a house that we should renovate because it cost a lot of money and a lot of hassle to renovate in Portugal. And we had the other 2 apartments at the identical price. One was not renovated at all, but had a better view of from the balconies, meaning there was not anything in front, there's no building in front of the balconies. And the other one was more renovated, had a lovely furniture, everything was more clean, and this is because the people actually lived in that apartment. They renovated so that they can live there. The other apartment was rented, it was made for business, for renting, so it wasn't quite that nice. And after we talked, we decided to go for the apartment with the lower price but renovated. And the realtor for this apartment was a lady that presented us the apartment. She had a firm that renovates the apartments, so we thought what a luck to work with her, because also maybe we can work with her and renovate the apartment some more. Even if the apartment was renovated, we also wanted to make some changes, some minor changes, and we thought, oh, we can work with her. And we said, okay, we want to buy this apartment, but we need to speed things up because we lost a week here in Portugal doing nothing, and now we have to speed everything up. I asked her to talk to the sellers, and she said at that point, well, it might be a problem to speed things up because look, there is a problem. One of the sellers, the husband, is in hospital in UK. This is why they sell the apartment, because they have problems with their health. It is true that at that point I felt uncomfortable to ask. I wanted to ask and I should have asked, but I felt really uncomfortable asking if it is a serious health problem or if he's just in hospital for a checkup routine or maybe nothing serious. I didn't ask. I should have asked. We got the papers through our lawyers, the papers of that apartment, went to the bank. The bank has to issue a letter, a formal official letter saying they are offering you this credit and you have 2 months to accept it. If you don't use the credit in 2 months, they withdraw the proposal, the official proposal. So everything was set up. The house had to be evaluated by someone hired by the bank, so everything was set up with this also. We had to wait a period of 7 days from the time we got this letter from the bank to give our official approval, time in which everything can be evaluated. And also this apartment didn't have at the time the energetic certificate, so we had to wait for that also. It is customary here in Portugal to make a pre-contract stating your intent to buy the apartment and pay in advance, and we said that we want to sign this pre-contract, and we set it in motion. We worked at this pre-contract with our lawyers. In the meantime, we had to go back to Romania, but it was no problem because we were working on this contract via email with our lawyers and their lawyers, and we just waited for the time to pass to be able to go back in Portugal and sign this pre-contract. So everything was good in the world. We are just waiting for the papers to be ready. One evening we received an email saying that there is a problem, that the owner is in the hospital. We knew that he's in the hospital, but his state has worsened and we have to sign these documents now. If we don't sign these documents like now, like in 1 or 2 days, we didn't know if we can sign them anymore, if you understand what I mean. This put us in such a state that we weren't thinking straight, and we just didn't know what to do at the time, and we considered so many options. So basically, after thinking of the problem in front of us, we said, okay, we will sign this, but we don't want a pre-contract anymore. We want to sign the final deed. So to be sure that if we sign something, it's the final deed. Talking to a lawyer, of course my husband is a lawyer, I'm an accountant, and we work with this kind of situation every day in our country. And talking to a lawyer, we came into possession of the information that, wait a minute, what happens if when the lawyer signed the deed, the lawyer has no longer the right to sign the deed? I mean, not knowing how grave the situation is in the hospital, because nobody gives you any information and it's like a taboo to ask too many questions here in Portugal. You just have to accept whatever information are giving. What would it happen to our deed? Would it be valid if at the date of the signing, not knowing what is happening in the UK, if it's okay for this lawyer to sign? He has any right to sign this? And we received mixed feelings, mixed approaches, mixed informations. But when we actually and directly asking anyone, the realtor, the broker, what should we do? They all said that we should go forward with the sale because nothing will happen. I have to tell you that I encountered this in Portugal, this approach to life and this approach to law, that this can happen to me. They say that of course the law states that the deed will not be valid, but it will not happen to you. Nothing will happen, everything will be okay. Frankly, coming from Romania, a country that doesn't do things like that, doesn't trust people, doesn't take chances, doesn't leave anything to chance. Everyone here in Romania knows the law in order to respect it, but knows the law because we have to know what to be careful about. This approach didn't sit well with us. I mean, really didn't sit well. And in the end, also being lawyer and accountant and maybe a little paranoid, in the end we decided not to buy the apartment because we decided we cannot live with the thought that we don't know in the end if we own the house or not. Because you have to understand that we couldn't ever be sure that we owned the house, because if the power of attorney given to the lawyer wasn't valid in the moment of the signing, and from what I gather, no one could be sure how bad the situation was in the hospital in UK. We actually didn't own the house. We thought if, God forbid, something happened with the owner, maybe the owner has kids, maybe has other people who will contest the selling, they will not approve the selling, and we will have legal troubles. And we decided in the end not to buy this apartment. Of course, this decision was made in a matter of days. I mean, we didn't waited for a long period of time, and we communicated this decision to this lady, the realtor. Moment in which she became very aggressive and said that she didn't expect that from us, that we are unreasonable and paranoid, and she didn't understand our decisions, and it's not fair. And a lot of bunch of other things. And this, in fact, made for us more clear that it was the right thing to do, because we also talked to our lawyer, and the lawyer said that we are right. And she said, don't notify the bank until you have a decision, because everything at the bank, the loan evaluation was made on that house, so you cannot change the property. The bank might rescind their offer if you change the property, because everything was given to you based on the location of a property, not only on your revenue. So if you change the property, you have to start all over with the process at the bank. So make a decision before you inform the bank. Thought some more and talked some more, and then in a matter of days we took that decision, and the realtor didn't took this decision well. I tried to explain her our concerns, but she also said that this is no reason to be concerned. I mean, in the end, in one of the emails, she even said there is no problem, because the wife wants also to sell. If there is no problem, we signed a pre-agreement. In case of the death of the owner, we can make the succession of the properties, and you can just wait 2 or 3 months, and of course the wife will sell the apartment to you. And this sounds really like bad advice. And put all of this together, we decided not to risk it, because for us there are a lot of money involved. But we ended things really badly with this realtor, because she had this approach, this aggressive approach, because of our decision. Of course, this was yet another moment of why is everything so hard in Portugal, or what we did wrong and why this is happening to us. So many people on the internet said that it's so easy to buy a property in Portugal. Why is this happening to us? Why do we keep making those mistakes and end up in this kind of situation? Why us? In this moment, we were down to 2 properties, the really expensive and renovated one, which sounded more and more appealing in this situation, and the other one, which was the really ugly apartment, the ugliest of the 3, not renovated and really kind of dirty. The real estate broker in this case was in fact our broker, which obtained for us the credit. So this person has a firm that not only obtains you loans, but also has a real estate component. So in fact, this was an apartment sold through him. Of course, at this point, we had to notify the bank. We notified the bank that we don't want the apartment anymore. So this meant that we had to present another apartment in order for them to evaluate the property again and present us again with a formal letter of offering us the credit. So we felt in that moment that we were under pressure, because we felt so lucky to obtain this loan in Portugal, remembering that we are coming from a country they never seen the papers, they never dealt with Romania, or maybe they did, but I don't know, but it was really hard for us to obtain a credit in Portugal, and we didn't want to miss this. Also, we didn't want to cause problems at the bank, changing all the documentation and properties, and we didn't want to sound like we are not really committed to taking a loan and we are not serious people. At this point, I was feeling that I was coming across like not really unprepared, but not serious person. There were so many people working for us at this point in order to obtain this loan, and we were like, just, I don't want that apartment, let's change the apartment, I have this problem. Of course, none of this was our fault, but it felt like it was our fault. It felt like we were causing all these problems. Everyone was so relaxed and said, you don't have to worry, you basically making these problems to happen by worrying so much and being wanted to be in control. Just let it be, don't think about these legal issues, buy an apartment and let's get it on with it. Because we didn't want to take this approach and we were scared and afraid not to make a mistake. Basically, I felt that I was screwing up the relationship back and forth with everyone. But it was what it was, and after careful consideration, we ended up choosing the ugly apartment, the not renovated apartment, the more cheap apartment, because we thought that in the coming years we were not spending so much time in Portugal, and also we wanted to rent the place, and also because of the price, and of course when we are going to be ready to make the final move in Portugal, we are going to have to renovate the apartment. I don't know with which money, but we will have to do that. In the end, this was our approach, this was our decision, the safe decision, the mature decision. So we think by the end of December 2019, the deeds were signed. Of course, there is a story there. The deeds were signed on the 23rd of December at night. Because why not? Of course, it had to be an apocalyptic signing for an apocalyptic story, and everyone got together on the 23rd of December at 6 or 7 p.m., which was 6 or 7 p.m. in Portugal, but in Romania, where we were at the time, it was like 2 hours later. So we found out that we owned a house in Portugal like at 10 o'clock in the evening, waiting by the phone, and of course terrorizing the broker who was in this occasion, also the realtor. He sent us some pictures with the documents at the notary and with the signatures, and we were here with our family and we waiting for the pictures, and when they came, the pictures, we opened a bottle of champagne and celebrated. Later in the evening, in that evening, the lawyer sent us the deed scanned by email, and we printed the deed and we put it in the Christmas tree, because that was really our Christmas present for the 2019. So it was really a bumpy ride for us. It wasn't easy to purchase this house, but it is some true in what the people said, that maybe some problems we caused for ourselves. Again, we caused these problems with our questions, with our doubt, with not trusting people, with not trusting anyone. But in the end, this is who we are. This is where we came from. This is how we are brought up, not to trust anyone and put questions and question everything. And if there was a time in our life to do that, I feel it was this, because for us it was a major investment. We are not rich people and we were so afraid of doing this, but we did it. I understand and I'm aware that this is a very particular story and it's one in a million, and maybe for sure it won't happen to you. But I would wanted to hear and read about these particular stories more. I think the moral of the story is better to ask questions than be sorry later. In the end, we are comfortable with our decision of purchasing this apartment, and even if we paid the same amount of money for less renovation in the house, we are happy that we are sure that we are owning the house. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but this was what we chose. This is my story. Of course, it's the short version of the events, and moving forward I will make targeted videos relating to, I don't know, how to get a loan, how to deal with realtors, and focus more on a particular subject. But I really wanted to do like a full story with timestamps to understand better our journey. If you have questions or anything you want to say, leave it in the comments. Please don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you want to support this channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!